Welcome to the Feel Better, Be Better show. Today, Kate and Nevada will answer your questions and introduce new topics designed to help feel better and be better. These are raw conversations, but they will make a difference.
All right, let's see here. Did we talk much about this stuff today?
Talked about a lot of stuff today.
Did we?
Yeah. I don't know if you were there for the whole conversation, but we did.
It was kind of light, wasn't it?
Super light.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
We didn't get into, ridiculousness on the ball fields. What do we get into?
A lot of parenting, a lot of coaching your kids. A lot of being at all your kids' stuff.
A lot of
interacting with umpires.
A lot of me saying, what is the kid learning from this?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
I was like a broken record there for a while. I was like, oh, hold on. Let me bring that back around. What is this kid learning from this?
Yep, pretty much. But no, it was really good. We hit a lot of areas. Talked a lot about a lot of things. Got to real deep dive about my daughter and what was going to happen with her and mom and the sports world.
We got to talk about my kids.
Yeah, your theoretical kids.
Yeah, that's right. They're yeah, just theoretical. All right. Well, hope you enjoy the show. Out of curiosity, do you want to go over any of the craziness that we had the other night? You got to witness. I've told you forever that I have an unbelievable great talent of really pissing people off, even when I'm not when I'm literally trying to help them out and do them in a favor in a scenario. We had that in full display the other night.
Go for it.
Do you want to? I don't care.
You start.
Me start?
I'm trying to figure out which one you're talking about.
Hey, that's not very nice. No, it was, we were in that game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as a situation.
I kind of thought, but helping out, I was like, are you talking about our sports or
No.
playing sports? So I got you.
No, it was just playing. It was a situation where, I literally was like,
try not to kill somebody?
Well, not necessarily that. Just trying to make sure it was a situation where I didn't feel bad for a situation. And, so we were in a total, as a lefty, you're not as much of a pull lefty as I am, even though I'm not even that bad.
Yeah.
Better than most.
Second to short.
Yeah. That's usually
the middle.
That's usually my wheelhouse, too. But in this situation, I pretty much just couldn't or didn't want to pull the ball because it would have been all bad scenarios. Mm-hmm. And so I, of course, moved off the plate quite a bit, which was funny because then the pitcher kept throwing me inside, which means there were balls, but they looked fine. So, of course, everybody in the field was complaining, which was, I kind of chuckled because I'm like, if you just throw where it's supposed to be, I will be more than happy to take care of everything. But then the umpire decided to go ahead and make a call to where I kind of pretty much had to hit. I didn't know what he was going to call because it was a very questionable strike call. And so I hit it, and I had to inside out it because I didn't want to pull the ball. And it went pretty much up the middle when, nobody got hit or got hurt.
It wasn't even as hard as you could hit it because, I saw you literally hit a line drive that never rose over the fence.
Yeah, like two
at-bats before.
Yeah.
And then a triple that was on a rope. So,
that was the other way.
If they want to complain,
well,
you could have hit it really hard if you were trying to hit it really hard.
Gosh, man, I would hit it really hard right at the first baseman or second baseman.
Yeah,
I would have
broke someone's face.
You just never know when you hit a ground ball like that, especially if it's hard. That it can bounce anywhere.
I've seen good players take it in the face and just bleed everywhere and have a broken nose. And you never know. Yeah,
don't get me wrong. Ground ball hard to second base is my bread and butter. In between first and second, sure. I'm really good at that. But I don't really like doing that in co-ed games. Just because, since I'm a lefty, chances are it's going to be two girls over there. Mm-hmm. And if a guy, happens to take one in the mouth because of something like that or whatever in the face, that's part of the game. I'm going to feel bad if it happened. And I'm well aware when we're practicing and you're taking grounders, I'm hitting those pretty hard.
Yeah, you don't really...
No, I don't hold back.
Or front toss. It's fine.
Yes.
But I know how to field the ball. Some of those girls out there don't. They're just pulled out to play.
Well, no, the whole thing is we develop a rapport. I know what you can handle and not handle. I don't know who the other team is. I don't know their situation. Are they filling in? Are they literally a prospective? Is it just a wife that hasn't played in 10 years or something like that? I don't know.
Some women out there, they've never played at all.
Yeah.
They're just, we're going to stick you on right field. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah. So, anyway, so I just thought it was hilarious because later on, you literally, as the guy was going to go try to start a fight with me over the whole thing, which was hilarious because they were talking so much trash the entire game, and I'm just sitting there just dying laughing almost inside because I'm just like, I literally did you a favor and I missed a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
And then they made fun of me because I was hustling. I was like, I don't.
Kind of the point. But that's even more funny because you're not the type to, like, take extra bases and slide. So for them to
I don't slide.
So for them to make a big deal about it, it's like, he literally just ran to the next base that he knew he could have and stopped. Like, you could have gone home.
Oh, I totally could have.
And you didn't. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been way worse.
Well, it was funny because the guy deked me at third, and I just died laughing because, I mean, I knew where the ball was. It was nowhere close to me.
Yeah.
And then acted like he kept me from going to home. And I'm like, I was stopping.
Yeah.
And then it's also illegal.
Yeah.
That's how people get hurt.
Yeah.
I understand
That's
this.
how you get kicked out.
I understand this person is probably thinking that he's okay because he did it in high school. But I'm a mid-40-year-old that's slowing down on the base pass. I probably would have, like, torn an ACL or something if he really did get me. So, I mean, in a way, I'm sitting there just kind of laughing, going like, what were you expecting to get out of that? To get me hurt? Because, I mean, that's kind of what you were doing. Because, honestly, I could have gone home and probably stood up and made it home, no problem. But I didn't.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, somebody let me in. No big deal. And then they're yelling at me because I did a triple on that I basically walked in easy on triple. I don't know. It's just it's so messed up. But anyway, I chuckle because that guy was trying to go through the line and then start a fight with me at the end. You, of course, saw it. I, of course, saw it.
Yeah.
And I just I was
picked
waiting.
up on those real fast.
I was waiting for the scenario, and you, of course, went right in. And immediately when you went in, what did I say?
I can't even remember.
You can't?
I just was
I go,
focused
yeah,
on,
I
like,
saw it too.
oh, yeah. I just remember being like, saw him veering towards you and you not deviating. And I'm like, I'm going to go right in the middle here. And he bumped me and I was like, yep, you go this way. We're going. We're moving. We're going on. We're not doing this right now. Everybody leave. Just stop. It's slow pitch softball. We're
I
not
know.
doing this. Like, and I didn't think you were going to start anything, but like if he was going to like not back down, it's not like you're going to be like, well, I'm going to run away and hide. So I was like, shoot, this is going to be awesome really fast. Like, no.
I just love it because we've actually talked about that scenario where I've been like, no, I see people get mad at me all the time. And I'm just like, I'm literally just trying to play.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do it in a situation where I get the least amount of people to be in any kind of scenario. I'm literally trying to hit into the heart of your defense, even though I can easily get all the hits I want over here. But you are trying to force me to not do that. And you're mad because I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not even, like, showing up anybody or anything.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, well, he just runs really hard. I'm like
you're supposed to?
didn't know. I mean, I'm sorry. Do you want me to like run slow so you can get me out? I mean, I understand that works out for you, but you didn't do that on your end. I mean, no, they were trying to roll through other bases and all kinds of who knows what else, trying to take out a girl at second base. Oh, and then later on, what did they do? They were running on the girls, but as soon as the guys got involved, they didn't get it and they didn't do anything. I mean, that's real, awesome.
Yeah.
But whatever.
That happens.
Yeah, it's just dumb. Anyway, that's not what we came to talk about. God, you had that in.
Random tangent.
What? Me?
From the
No.
beginning. From the beginning.
No. Would
It's
never.
it's related to sports.
Well, again, the whole thing on that one is I mean, like, immediately people were, after the game, like, you okay or whatever, is everything all right? I'm like, I'm fine. I can't control what other people are going to do.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to go through the game like that. I mean, they were talking to me on the base pass for, like, 3 innings.
Well, it's just like in sports when you're coaching, we meet all kinds of guys who, or even, I'm going to say guys because it's usually men coaches that are this way, but who are just complete total tools and try to get under your skin and make you do something different than what you would normally do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you have to learn to just be like, I don't really care what you're doing over there. I know my team's good. I know how do I keep them focused and your voice out of their ear and we just do what we do. Same with slow pitch.
Well, I'm just curious. 'Cause I'm sure you could probably hear some of it. How many times did I did I visibly laugh out loud? I don't know.
There's a lot in the outfield.
I know there was plenty on the base pass because I was just shaking my head the entire time, just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
literally
just supposed to have fun.
I'm literally going to get jumped by somebody because of their interpretation of something that I did. And I'm like, I'm not even trying to be in the middle of this. If anything, I literally want to be as far away from you as possible because you're so unpleasant to be around. But I kind of have to keep playing.
Yeah.
So I paid to go out there to be annoyed by somebody because they just didn't like me. Okay. Why would I want to keep going?
Yeah. Second game was more fun.
Oh, no, those people were great. They were awesome. And, you just gotta love people that are just there to have fun.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they weren't trying to take anybody out or trying to showboat anybody up or, try to manipulate umpires to do calls for them, anything like that. I mean, it was just completely two different people.
Yeah, they just showed up to play, and that's what they did, and
Yeah.
we played, and that was it.
No, that's too bad. All right, so let's see here. I really wanted to talk to you about a real specific topic, though.
Yes.
Okay. So in Adam's stuff, we talked quite a bit about, the coach and the player, a little bit of parental anxiety and stuff like that and everything. But it really made me realize, in particular, you are in an interesting little set right now because you're coaching your daughter.
We're transitioning into her playing sports and mom being involved.
Yes. And so are you on T-ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're on T-ball, which is, I mean, saying it's herding cats is mean to people that herd cats. Because the attention span it's worse than me in tangents. So
I will say they made me so happy the other night. I come into practice, and they're all just like, Coach Caitlin! And they all came up and hugged me, and they were like, when we went to go, I'm like, okay, we're going to break up into the groups and stuff. And they're like, all of them were like, we want to be in your group. And I'm like, you will eventually, but not all of you at the same time. There's too many of you to try to herd at the same time. But they were so cute. I'm like, oh, they love me.
Yeah. Well, especially in those beginning years, like the very tall, 8 under, 10 under, somewhere around there. Yeah. I mean, coaching your kid, I don't really see any heavy drawbacks. Mm-hmm. And they're too fresh, they're too new, it's too just get exposure. You're not in there totally tweaking everything. You're looking for the very base fundamentals. So it's not, you're not getting too crazy there. But I know you're trying your best to make sure that you have some coaches in line.
So I don't have to coach her after
So
T-ball?
you don't have to coach her, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to go through your experience as a coach, mm-hmm. watching the engagement with kids. Of course, me and you have talked about ours with our parents and stuff like that in sports. Sure. And kind of go through maybe some pitfalls, maybe just some overall generalizations, just take a look at it and just see where we go. Maybe 18 tangents. Yeah. I don't know.
I feel like I have a lot to say on this, so let me see if I can pick a direction and go.
I'm going to tangent.
Probably.
Okay.
We'll tangent and come back and tangent and come back.
No problem.
I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is when I started coaching, I did some in high school, but then when I started coaching here, I was the 23-year-old who didn't have a kid on the team. So for me, I was the cool college-age kid who wanted to come hang out with all these 8 and 9-year-olds. And they thought that was awesome. And so they really just wanted to do whatever, and they thought I was fun. And I think having that dynamic in there and not being a parent helped me resonate and work with a lot of the kids.
Connect.
It did, because I didn't have my kid where I had expectations and knew more about them at home and their whole personality and wanted them to do as good as I thought they could do. And so being that person who don't want to say older sister, but because there was such an age gap still, but kind of in that wheelhouse, I think has a lot of benefits to kids. It gives them someone else to listen to, a role model. A lot of my kids I feel like have looked up to me the last 7-8 years. I have good rapport with my kids. I've seen them go through a lot of stuff. I like to support them and go to their other sporting events or school events. And there's just real connection there. I feel like I'm a part of their life in a different way than what their parents are. Whereas if you're parent coaches, you don't necessarily get that.
Well, we have somebody on the team that's a parent coach.
We do, and it's very different dynamic when it's your kid.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it from the other side. Now, for me, it's been very interesting being the parent of a kid who's coaching now because I've never had to deal with that before. And before we get to that part, though, I will say that, now that I'm getting in my 30s, that while my players still respect me, we have a good rapport, and they still like me, they want to add me to their group chat of just them as players. And I'm like, I really don't need to be in there, guys. Like, we're cool. But, I mean, the fact that they...
Whoa, you didn't get in that?
Please, are you in there?
Yeah,
you get 180 texts?
Yeah, right. Nobody didn't even act like I was going to be a part of that, which I am fine with.
Exactly. I was like, I appreciate the invite, guys, but no. Like, you guys just do you.
I don't even like a group text of like people I've known since college. I'm like, no, you can communicate with me one-on-one.
So, but with that, I mean, like, I still have that good relationship with all of them. But then we have Gabby come in, and she's the young 20-year-old, and it's a different dynamic still. So even though I don't have a kid on the team, having someone like her who's like the cool older sister, she even said it herself, when she comes to tournaments and stuff, and the girls are like, yay, Gabby's here, and being able to have someone of a different age level who can approach conversations and different stuff with you differently, and that hits different, I think is very important. And so we're very lucky to have her on there as well. Now,
I just love how every age group you're talking about, though, in all those scenarios, I still get to just be the grumpy, gruff one.
Well, you'd play a different role.
I am good at that role.
You are good at that role. But with that, I mean, coaching Harper has been good. I've coached her in soccer, and I've coached her in t-ball now. It's harder as a parent. I feel that I can tell that I get more frustrated with her when she goofs off because I know that she can do stuff a certain way. She always tells me, she's like, I want to go with you and train, Mama, when I'm doing Sunday hitting lessons. And she'll show up there and she'll let me pitch her buckets, and she tries hard and she does pretty good. She eventually gets tired and doesn't want to do it, but it's fine because it's one-on-one. In a team setting, I just noticed that when she's digging in the dirt and won't listen and doesn't try to hit the ball hard, it's like, no, I know you can do it, and I'm your mom. Like, do it. And it just is more frustrating than with other kids that I have more patience for because I know what she's capable of.
I think one of the biggest keys that people never realize, though, is that your kids know exactly what buttons to push on you to get you going. And
They do.
We kind of forget about that. They know exactly how to hit you the hardest.
They do. And so I don't want to ruin her love for playing because I get frustrated with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know capable-wise, I am a fantastic coach. I can coach them. I can teach them all. She has a good time. But it just feels different. Coaching her in a team setting versus the other kids, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And so for me, I don't mind coaching the younger ages. I love working one-on-one with her. I expect to continue to do so as long as she still wants me to. But when we get into machine pitch, my goal is to have somebody else lined up to be a coach for that age group that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want her to be able to have a relationship with someone else that she can look up to as a role model that's not just mom. And I don't want to be the one she's the only one ever learning from, because I think it's valuable to learn from other people as well.
Yeah, so how are you going to, I mean, thinking about that whole dynamic, so you get her into another coach, which you may respect, may know, whatever.
Yeah.
But they start teaching things that may be not what you think should be taught.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to start preparing yourself for how you're going to handle that.
Yeah.
Now, you've had to handle that from a coaching standpoint
Mm-hmm.
with other parents. Do you think you're going to approach it differently than they have? Because I would imagine so.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've already gotten a taste of that in the fact, like, it's not my kid on the team, but, I mean, again, Gabby running the 10U team, she does it differently than I would do it, and it's fine. Like, she doesn't do anything wrong. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been a good lesson in, all right, I'm coming and showing up and helping to the capacity that she needs me to because she's in charge. And I want her to feel like she can run it however she needs to and that she has my back in it. Because as a coach, especially if you're a young coach, it takes a while to figure out your stride and what you need to learn, and you adjust things and you change things as you get older. We're still changing things and been at this team for 8 years now, you know? So I think being on the coaching side of things and knowing how that goes, and then also, like, especially if it was a younger person, just that's a developmental thing that they'll learn is huge to know. Plus, I know what it's like when you have parents actively working against you, and that sucks.
Well, I think that's the part that's always bothered me the most. Because as a coach, I have an idea of what I think I would do with that kid. And what I think would be better for them.
Yeah.
But it's not my kid.
Yeah.
Now, I get in a very... I end up with the kid in a very precarious position, which makes me extremely uncomfortable. Because the parent wants to go like, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. We're going to do this instead, which is the exact opposite. Which I understand. I mean, it's your kid. And that's what a lot of times I'm like, if the kid tells me their parent told them that, I kind of automatically back off. I will try to go approach the parent, if I can, and make sure that it's not the kid just telling me something.
Yeah.
Which kids can do.
Yeah.
But I think the one I really run into is I've had some parents that were literally like coming back like, yeah, no, I think they should be doing that. To where I'm kind of like, okay, why don't you run the team then? I mean, it's kind of bad, but I mean, like, I'm not trying to be like bitter about it or something. It's just more of the fact that I'm like, if you have a specific way you want to coach your kid, coach your kid.
Yeah.
I mean, because right now you're gonna have me try to do something that I either don't agree with or I have a different viewpoint. Probably not going to get the same level of attention and detail and enthusiasm out of it. I would almost rather, to me, I would very much respect a parent that came up to me after practice and said, hey, look, I would love to talk to you about certain things. Can you tell me when is a good time?
Yeah.
I'd probably give them, sure. How about 5 minutes? I mean, I'm probably not going to delay that, but I mean, just the immediate respect of the fact that I may have other things going on that night, or I may have agreed with somebody else, automatically puts me on the back of like, what can I do for you? If you came up to me and said you wanted to do something completely different from what I was doing, then we could talk about it. I might have a lot of enthusiasm to go your way.
Yeah.
Again, it's your kid. I don't really have a problem with how they develop. I have an opinion. But everybody has an opinion.
Well, and I think about it too. I mean, the majority of stuff that, like we always say, a lot of it's repetition. Kids are going to do things certain ways or different. Other people are going to have been taught different ways. Most of the stuff isn't a big deal. There's a few main key fundamental stuff that I'm like, no, that makes a huge difference. If someone's going to try to get her to put her elbow up, I'm going to have a conversation with the coach. I'm not going to tell her that she's wrong and needs to do something different, but I'm going to be like, okay, can we talk about why you're doing this? Because in my mind, you know,
yeah,
I want it the other way. How can we make it a situation that we can both work? But I'm not going to like actively tell my kid to do the opposite thing than what she's out there trying to teach them.
Well, I mean, I think we're going on the fact that we've been at practices, we've been at games when we could actively hear coaches or parents telling the exact opposite of what we're telling the kid to do. Which, my Lord, puts the kid in such an interesting position.
It does, because they want to listen to their parents so bad, but they want to listen to their coach, and their coach is supposed to be the authority of knowing how to play the sport, but their parent is supposed to be the one who's, like, there for them and helping them get better as a person, and is their parent. Like, you don't want to just be like, well, my coach said this. So, yeah, and then they don't listen to anybody.
Well, then you're stuck frozen.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, you're 12 years old and you're getting told by two different people that you're supposed to be listening to and two different things. What do you do? I mean, you're stuck. You don't even, I mean, there's adults that don't even know how to handle that situation and handle it poorly. But I can't even imagine. It's just such a mess. And I hate that. And the one I come back to almost every time that bothers me more than anything, though, is those kids are learning from every little action, every little word, every little thing. Well, what are they learning from that?
Yeah. Not anything good.
I mean, it just bothers me because, I mean, is it learning that coaches don't always know everything, which is true.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're kind of almost getting to a situation there where, like, where does that line get drawn? I mean, you got to have a little faith in the person that's coaching you or you're not going to go anywhere with that.
Yeah, well, if you're constantly questioning your coach, it's not good.
Well, it's not going to equal out in anything positive.
No.
You're not really learning how to come to a good compromise, trying to work through anything.
No.
But you're definitely, the one thing I think the kid will definitely pick up on is that no matter what they do, it'll be wrong.
Yeah.
Which is a real interesting scenario.
Yeah. Now, I will say with all this, too, like, while I fully intend to parent the way that we're talking about, I also don't intend to put my daughter with just any coach.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are plenty out there who are rude or don't know what they're doing or play favorites or whatever. So there's certain things that are a deal breaker for me. But if you find a solid person, even if maybe they don't know the sport super well, just decently well or fun, get kids engaged, like, that can be a benefit.
Well, I've seen people coach sports they knew nothing about, but they knew how to basically relate and keep kids moving to where they did perfectly fine. I knew guys that have never played basketball in their entire life, never did it, but they were good with the kids and good with people moving. They caught some YouTube channels and basically had a basketball team that they had a great old time.
Yeah, and usually that's half the battle is just having kids engaged and having fun.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a coach that can do that and they don't have the fundamental knowledge that I have, I mean, I can work with that.
Yes. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. But that one kind of leads me to another thing of the lessons we're learning on the field that are probably not relating to the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you have this, but I know I do. I have certain people in my world that I've seen at their kids' games and on a regular basis, very negative and disrespecting to the umpires or the referees or other parents.
Or teammates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of more, I always kind of come back to the adults and what the adults allow to happen in the vicinity.
Or display by their own actions.
Yes. But I mean, again, those little minds are picking up on all those little subtleties. Mm-hmm. Which is why I think you've seen me a couple times, like, really turn on no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Very much like, I don't care. We're not going that route because sometimes you have to draw a line. Mm-hmm. Which is funny because I think if you see me in adult scenarios, I probably wouldn't even have phase. You wouldn't even know something happened. Mm-hmm. But in those, I see it as my responsibility that we're trying to show this is the things that we can and cannot do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you have kind of anything on that let's go the officiating route. How's that?
Yeah. I think it's from being on the officiating side, I did that a little bit in high school, to being on the coaching side and watching other teams with players on the coach's side. It's really easy. I mean, as a player, it's frustrating when you get pitches called on you that you don't think are a strike and they say they're a strike, or that you're out when you think you're safe, or that something's not a foul, or whatever. Pick a sport. I can come up with a scenario. I understand how that's very frustrating for players, and it's easy to let those frustrations come out. But it doesn't do you any good. It doesn't win you anything over with the umpires. It makes you look like a jerk. I mean, it's not something I want in my program because, yes, there's a lot of times that calls are frustrating. I'm like, oh, that sucks. But you got to take that and just work with what you can control. So if I know that this umpire is calling outside pitches all day long, I'm going to have to figure out a way to hit it if I got 2 strikes. Or foul it off or do something. What can I control in that situation? I can't control the whole thing. I can't make him call what I want him to. Me being frustrated is not going to be any better. If anything, it's going to make me hit worse. It's going to give the other pitcher confidence because she's just going to throw it on the outside corner of the plate and try to get me out. Like, I had one coach who was really good about, like, if you swing at a bad pitch and you miss, like, don't show you're all frustrated about it. Come back. Be like, I did. It happened.
You get to see me miss.
We're going to go on the next one.
So you get to see me swing and miss at a slow pitch last night.
Yes.
I mean,
big ol' whiff.
40 years of working on hitting, and I whiffed one.
Yeah.
Now, I was completely trying to inside out a ball, where I was trying to do something goofy with it. And it was the first one. It wasn't like I was letting that get away. But, I mean, it happens.
It happens.
And I think I probably laughed at it, didn't I?
Yeah.
Nice. But the other one is, before that, in that game before, you got to see me basically make a very good point to an umpire without even coming close to even making a point.
Yeah, there's ways to go about things. And as a player, like in our situation with slow pitch, it's one thing to have that conversation with the umpire. And I mean, if you're maybe the catcher, maybe having a good rapport with your umpire and like just being like, okay, no, like, where was that at? Like, I want to know. Okay, but like as a batter for like 14 and under, you don't need to be talking to the umpire about every ball and strike.
Well, I think the biggest one I want to bring up on that one is sometimes it's almost better to really go in curious. Mm-hmm. Because obviously that umpire thought something, or that referee, had an interpretation of something, or just plain doesn't know something.
Yeah.
And so, like, you saw me on that one where the pitch came in. It was an obviously illegal pitch. It wasn't even close to anything remotely right. And he called it strike. And he was calling strikes where you didn't know if he meant strike, because it was like, or whatever, I mean, so I didn't know if he said plate or, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I stepped out of the box and addressed him, whatever. He got time, and I was like, okay, real quick, I'm just make sure, is it 1 and 2 or is it 2 and 1? Mm-hmm. Because I was just, it's first pitch.
Can't tell what you called.
In a way, I couldn't tell you what you called. And the worst part about it is a lot of times you kind of know. Mm-hmm. You're like, I'm pretty sure that was a ball, and you didn't really say anything. You kind of know. This one, I'm like, I seriously don't know what you called, because it should have been a ball, but it really sounded like you made a strike. And I didn't say any of that. I'm just saying that's where I was inside. I'm like, I really need to know what the count is. Because you kind of put me in a situation where now I got to swing if anything's even remotely close, because I don't know what the strike zone is now. So that's what I did. And you could see him almost immediately realize that he made a bad call on it. Mm-hmm. But I didn't show him up about it. He said, no, it's 1 and 2. I'm like, all right, thanks. And I stepped back in the box. Point was made without showing up the umpire.
Yeah. And I feel like I try to do that when I go talk to them about calls. Because every time you call time and you go up there, they immediately are defensive, because they think you're going to get in their face and tell them how dumb they are and that was a horrible call and it doesn't follow the rules. But I try to go up and be like, hey, I'm just wondering, like, my interpretation of the rule was that this is how it goes. Can you explain to me how you came to your call? And for some umpires, they're really good about it. Some are still super crabby. I don't know. Umpires don't like me that much. So I don't really do anything. I just kind of chill and go with it. But I know I'm not going to change their mind, at least not on that call. But maybe on future calls, they'll be like, okay, maybe I need to rethink what I am doing.
Well, I always try to catch one early that can establish a rapport. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about one we had in that tournament, and I don't know if you caught it, how good of a rapport I developed with the umpires in that softball game.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I mean, it was a question on what were the rules on courtesy runners. Mm. But so I was able to genuinely ask in a situation that the rules are always different everywhere.
Yeah.
But that allows me to kind of not be like, so would I do this or whatever, like I know what I'm talking about. I was like, hey, what's the rule on courtesy runners in this tournament? I mean, is it catchers, pitchers? Is it like got to be 2 outs? Is it, is the last batter that was out? What is the rule? And it allowed us to have a little bit of conversation.
Yeah. And
I wasn't adversarial about it. So then later on, when something did happen, there was an actual. It wasn't an adversarial role.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest one I come back on, again, if you're a parent in the stands yelling about balls and strikes,
yeah,
outs or safes,
yeah,
fouls or not fouls, whatever sports we're in, what is the lesson the kids learning?
Oh, that they can do the same thing. They can question everything and be rude about it, and yeah.
Well, I mean, they're learning that that's okay.
Yeah.
That's brought into that.
The best example I have of this is I refereed in high school. I was like 16. Refereeing like fourth grade boys basketball. And they flop all over the place because that's what the NBA players do, just trying to get a foul call. You barely touch them, they fall down. And it's super obvious, right? But you have parents out there yelling, that's a foul! And you have the kid yelling, there should be a foul! And I mean, it's just one of those, they learned it from somewhere. They don't just, I mean, the flopping is probably from TV, but they learned to be little jerks about it from somewhere. I can tell you where it's from because I can hear it off the side of my ear over here. Like, you learn it from somewhere.
Yeah. but you're also, I mean, I'm okay with questioning something, but it's one thing when you're showing somebody up on a constant basis. And that's all I ever see on the fields anymore.
Yeah.
It's a constant show up. And the umpires and the referees they've had to go to extreme levels. So there's no longer a relationship with coaches and players and the umpires and the referees. And it's extremely adversarial, which is a horrible situation because we've been in times where it's like, no, that's literally against the rules that are spelled out in this thing. And they're like, well, I don't care. That's what I'm doing. And you're just like,
yeah. And it's from the beginning.
Yeah.
There's so many plate talks I've gone up to, and they're like, you can call timeout, but it's not going to do anything, so don't even bother coming and asking me anything because it is what it is. Or I don't even want you to come to me if you have any questions on what the call is. And I'm like, isn't that part of your role?
Yeah.
Is if something happens and I'm like, whoa, I'm not sure about that I can come to you and you can help mediate the situation. That's what you're supposed to do. So if you're just completely taking that out of the equation and just being the ultimate authority out there, you're not even giving me a chance for a conversation.
Well, and again, having that much of an adversarial role, what is that teaching the kid again?
Not being able to work with anybody, that's for sure.
Well, not being able to come to a common agreement.
Yeah.
I mean, not being able to, work towards something. You now have no idea what rules are.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're constantly changing on you.
Yeah.
It feels like life. But, I mean, it's just...
And I have so much respect for an umpire, whether it's me or someone else. If a coach comes up and is like, hey, can you ask the other umpire, I thought it was this rule, whatever, and they actually address the situation, like, you know what, I did call that wrong, and they reversed the call or whatever. You went through the process. I don't expect you to be right all the time. You don't have to be I do everything right, it doesn't matter if I missed it, don't even talk to me. Like, it can be a conversation.
I mean, I consider it a very, big defeat when that umpire threatened to throw me out last year, which was ridiculous.
I love that story.
Literally repeated what he told me and said he was going to kick me out for it. I'm like, that's what you just said.
Yeah.
I changed the words a little bit, but whatever. That was a really messed up situation.
It was.
But anyhow, I chuckled on the whole thing. It was just funny. Okay, so that's the lessons on the umpire, and I hate to bring it back to the coach things.
Sure.
But I've seen it too many times. Where you can visibly see like the parent like steaming, upset, pacing, yelling. I don't know. Pick whatever thing you want.
Is this directed at coaches or players or all of the above?
Coaches mainly.
Okay.
They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Messing up with my kid, and stuff like that. But I mean, the kids can see it.
Oh yeah. You can feel it. You don't even have to see it.
Yeah. What are they learning?
Again, not to be able to work with somebody else. I mean, they're learning that either that they also are going to assume their coach doesn't know anything, or they're going to feel awkward in the middle because they like their coach and think that they're giving them good knowledge and advice, but then they have to deal with their parent who's frustrated all the time because of how their coach is coaching them.
I mean, I really try to think about that almost every single time when I'm in the coaching scenario. I'm being judged by the parents, I'm being judged by the umpires, I'm being judged by the kids, everybody is looking at what I'm doing. And my whole goal in this thing is to lead them by a way that things should be done.
Yeah. And that can be intimidating because, I mean,
not always positive.
You and I know how we want to progress things and like the philosophy and lessons and stuff we want to learn, but it's a lot of pressure to realize you've got 24 eyes on you, parent-wise, on the sideline, judging everything you do because people are going to want to do it differently. That's just human nature. They'll find something that they would disagree with. Some parents handle it really well. We're very fortunate that we have very good parents for the most part, over the years. And it's still not easy. I still have people who disagree with what I do and how I do certain things. But can you compromise or back that coach? Or are you going to complain? And if you need to complain, don't complain around your kid and ruin that relationship and put them in the middle in a really awkward spot. Like, I've seen that happen way too many times too.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You're literally got usually a volunteer. If not, they're pretty much volunteer, even if they're getting paid.
Yeah.
Scenario with somebody that you're trying to kind of create an adversary out of or do whatever you want to do there. So, I mean, I don't see how that is any positive situation. They obviously care so much that they're trying.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's some bad scenarios in there, younger coaches or just coaches that, did bad stuff, I got to own that as a parent and be like, I got them on the wrong team.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get them on a different team. And you got to go forward with that. And hopefully you can lead them to that whole other direction.
Yeah. But
I just don't see how most coaches in particular would have a problem with you coming up to them as long as you're like, look, what do we need to do to make this work right? Because I want my kid to see the best role model we can going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, another one I gotta talk about, which kind of bothers me a little bit, though.
Okay.
This one's so hard. Expectations of parents for kids playing.
Oh, parents have such high expectations for their kids usually.
Well, no. I'm going the other direction.
Oh.
The expectations that we put on ourselves as parents by being at every practice, by being at every game.
I got you.
By being the ultimate parent, the one that is there doing everything. I got them in this thing and that thing and here, and I'm driving them there, and I'm going here, and I'm doing this.
Oh, you see it all the time. I mean, parents have to be at every practice, every game, all of the things. My dad was very diligent about doing all those things because he didn't have that when he was growing up. So it was kind of in a unique situation. But a lot of the people my age, parents didn't come to practice.
Drop them off.
I was one of the few that my dad did stay, and he apologized for it later, not in a bad way. It was never bad, but like he realized he was over involved, and coming to every game. And I feel like being in that situation, it put a lot more pressure on me as a player because I felt like everything I did was going to be a conversation on the way home. I'm at practice. I'm supposed to be making mistakes, trying new things, running around. And then it's like, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do this? Why are you at every one of my practices? Can I just go have fun and play and try to work to get better? Like, it's one of those that when you're so there and that's all your life, and then it's one of those like years of like just driving my kids around, and then when you get free time, you don't know what to do with it. You don't have to be there. Go do something else. Drop them off. Go do something else for you. Like, go take a class. Go walk, run. I don't know. Go do something. But, yeah, when you're there, it adds an extra level of, oh, my parents are watching me, as well as my coaches, as well as my teammates, and I just want to do awesome all the time. Well, you're never going to be the best of all your abilities all the time. You're going to have days where you're good. You're going to have days where you're eh. And so it's an added level of stress. And I'm not saying that parents should never show up, but sometimes it's good and healthy not to be there.
Yeah, I can understand. I mean, we've all heard that story. Your dad, whatever. I'm not going to say your dad, but I mean, you made it this scenario. But
yeah, that's fine.
My dad didn't, come to all my games, didn't come to my practices, didn't come to this. Of course, we have some of those stories that ended up, that were, tremendously awesome stories of, like, people that realized they wanted to let them earn it, learn it on their own, do their own thing. So Dad you may not have seen Dad there, but he was in the parking lot watching from afar. Yeah. He was engaged to what they wanted to do. I love those stories. Those are some of the best I've ever heard.
Well, and I love the ones where they're like, not only that, but I'm not talking to your coaches. If you have a problem, you need to communicate and learn how to deal with your own situations. If it comes to a situation that's a bad situation, like, I'll help you out. But if, like, you're frustrated about playing time, go talk to your coach about what you can do. It's your responsibility, not mine as a parent,
At a certain age.
Well, yeah, but similar type situation.
Yeah, definitely like 12-ish, 14-ish, around there, yes. Prior to that, probably not.
Yes, I mean...
In high school, absolutely.
I remember, like, in high school, my parents, not necessarily for me, but we've having that conversation of, I think a girl on my team, her parents were always in the coach's ear, and it's like, your daughter needs to be able to talk to the coach themselves. But
well, the problem you run into is what do you do as a coach? I mean, it's obviously detrimental to your entire team. Mm-hmm. No matter what you're going to do is going to be a bad situation. The only thing I would ever recommend would be like, I don't even care if the kid's awesome. Get out. But of course you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a high school or whatever situation, you're almost not allowed.
Yeah.
So instead you just got to be in this horribly dysfunctional situation where you just can't do anything, which is horrible. But no, where I was going to is I remember as a kid that there were certain parents that got together and, this week so-and-so's mom drove 4 kids to school, to practice. And then the next week so-and-so's mom did it or whatever. And they traded off. They worked together. I don't see that at all.
Shoot,
in our world.
I remember being one of 3 when we do travel ball when my youngest sister got old enough. My dad went with my middle sister. My mom went with my youngest sister. I had to drive 2 hours with one of the other teammates on my team sometimes spend the night in a hotel room with that family. Like, I didn't get to go with my family to everything. And I don't remember being sad about that. I remember it being kind of fun.
Yeah.
Get to be part of a different family for a weekend. Like, it was kind of nice.
Yeah. No, and so with that, I come back and I'm just like, what is the kid learning by you being there all the time?
Mm-hmm.
By you driving them to every single thing? To you basically saying that, no, I mean, everything I have in my life that I'm working on is nothing compared to what you got going on.
Mm-hmm.
What is that kid learning?
That they're the priority all the time?
Well,
pretty much. I mean,
what I'm getting at, though, is there's been plenty of those stories of people that, had high working scenarios where mom had 3 jobs, and dad was not around or something. And those kids tend to end up knowing what it is to basically have to earn everything through.
Mm-hmm. Or find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
I really want to play this sport. I got to find a way to make it there.
Well, but you're also teaching them there are responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. We're going to talk about it when they get home, but I got to go take care of this for my job.
Yeah.
Or I got to go get this done at the house because it has to get done. I mean, you're teaching those type responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're constantly always there and you're putting off all those responsibilities for that, what are they learning? They're learning that this is more important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost kind of, me probably having to coach you as you're going to go through with your kid, I'm going to have to probably be like, you should miss a few things occasionally.
And with that, too, I think, the opposite. I'm not saying that you should never go to any of your kids' stuff. Because we want to see our kids' stuff, and it's important to be there. But, yeah, there is a level of it's okay to miss stuff. You should not feel guilty that you have to miss stuff.
Yeah, but to me, I feel like what I see, for the most part, is there is a huge stigma between that parents don't want to miss a single minute.
Oh, for sure.
And I understand it. I don't have kids, so I mean, I understand it, but I know I can't fully understand it. But I'm also feeling like my role as a parent would be I have to find the right creative ways to turn this little child into a mature adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you eventually have to keep letting them have more responsibilities because eventually they're going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to rely on you to do hopefully not rely on you to do everything. You don't want them to rely on you to do everything the rest of their lives.
Well, I mean, it's kind of what you end up if you are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a tough one.
Yep.
I mean, I just want to make sure that I get it on here, though, that I think parents, in a way, almost have to find those little ways to be able to create independence in their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is putting them on a practice on their own, or if that's putting them in a game on their own, and then having that conversation later, it doesn't make you a bad parent.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still care from afar.
Yep.
And you can still raise them from afar. I don't want to be in charge of your kid, raising them or something like that, but for a couple minutes, I mean, in the week, I can do my best to make him a better player.
Yeah. And I think it's healthy to have other people to help guide your kid. Like, it's very much a village to raise the kid. And we've got so much into society that's like, no, it's just our immediate family. And we're always there all the time. And that's really hard on the family and the kid.
Yeah, it's a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other major points on this craziness?
I don't know. Do you have anything to say from the reverse? I mean, if you ever do have kids, like, do you see parts that would be difficult for you or that you would
They're not mine.
Do differently?
They're not mine.
They're not your kids?
No. It's going to be hard for me. I mean, I'll probably have to talk to my dad about it a lot because, I mean, I've seen that. I've felt that. I've come from that. But on my end, I think I would do a lot of the things my parents did again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had conversations with my mom in particular where she's like, no, when you were turning this age, I stopped taking your calls. My secretary was told when you called to say that I was unavailable. I was totally available, but I needed to make you become independent. Mom didn't make every game. Dad made most of them. And then, of course, my sister, complications, they have to go in different ways, and sometimes they made mine, sometimes they made hers. I'm sure from my sister's perspective, they made all of mine and none of hers, but I mean, I know they made some of mine for hers. But I think it was I think that was positive for me. I'm sure it had to be really difficult for them because, I mean, the pressures of being the ideal parent for them were there too. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm their kid. They probably wanted to see me do it. In case I did something awesome, they totally wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Now, they were very big on the same stuff as you, as like making sure I went and talked to the coach on my own. They were very big on handling some of the punishment for when I did wrong on my own. As a matter of fact, I know I talked to my dad a little bit. There were a couple of those that he's like, I probably should have pressed a little harder on that one. I was kind of like, yeah, I kind of needed your help there. Mm-hmm. I can think of one instance in particular. I got suspended for sports stuff in school because of something somebody else did. And I'm not trying to say like I was sitting there like that I was saying that. No, the person handing out the punishment knew I didn't do anything, was still giving me the punishment because I didn't stop it. Me versus 14 people. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I told them not to do that, and I went and got somebody to make it stop. And he's like, yeah, we need different leaders on there. I'm like, I didn't really do anything wrong here. Mm-hmm. And still got suspended and missed a regional, probably cost me a scholarship. I'm sure that guy feels great about himself now because he probably showed me the way. But, I kind of respect my dad for doing that because it made me learn how to basically handle stuff like that. Doing my own kid. I think the biggest one I'm going to have to do is I think I'm going to have to find a way to make myself as though I don't know much for most of their life. More that we're going through this whole thing. The parents I see that do great are the ones that have no clue what they're teaching their kid. It'd be like me showing somebody how to play piano. I can't even get my feet right, let alone the finger thingies. But anyway, they're called keys. I know. But anyway, just because it's more of a let's do this, and so I can ask them questions. I mean, but you've seen me with kids. I'm very good at asking the leading questions, mm-hmm. and I hope I can keep that with my own kid because I think that's where you get the engagement. Mm-hmm. I can easily see where that might catch me later, though, especially if I'm coaching pretty serious.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's another hard role. I mean, if you're coaching a different team or doing sports camps and your kid's over here like, well, you don't coach me and you act like you don't know what's going on, but I know you do because you're doing it over there, like, that can be a hard dynamic as well.
Yes.
Because I've thought about that with Harper. She's going to be like, you're coaching everybody else and you're really good at it, and like, but you don't coach me, and fully prepared to have that conversation with her when we get to that, but.
It's such a fine line.
It's hard.
I mean, I don't know how you work that. That's a really tough one to go on. But I mean, that's somewhere in there. You got to find a way to be able to make them have their own independence and their own way of doing things. Mm-hmm. While still being supportive and oh man, it's a tough one. I think I just have to take it the way when it comes up. I mean, I'm sure there's like 17,000 books about adulting that will totally tell me exactly how to raise my child perfectly.
Yeah.
They all work, right?
100%.
Yeah.
The book
with every kid.
Yeah. I told you about the book you gave me. It's really good, but I tried every step, and Harper's like, nope, I don't want to do it. I'm like, I went through all the compromising steps. What do you mean you don't want to compromise and do it? Like, screw this book. But then I got to chapter 2, and it was better.
Yeah, because chapter 2 said...
What to do when none of that works. That was literally the title. It's like, so nothing in the first chapter worked. Here's what we're going to do. I'm like, well, I should have read this chapter first because I was real frustrated after chapter 1.
Well, it's just like anything in life. I mean, what will work on 90 kids won't work on your kid.
Yeah.
And as much as you try, you press, you do, you're never going to get into it. They're going to go the opposite of whatever you do. I'm pretty sure I'll be my same gruff person with my kid and I'll surround him by somebody like you that'll be closer to him. I don't know any other way to do that. If I gotta treat them like just another player, because like every player I'm at, I think of as what I can do to make them better. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's not me. And we have a couple players on our team right now where I'm like, I don't think I'm really good for them right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the situation we always run into because you and I bounce players back and forth between us for certain skills all the time, depending on where they're at in a season of their life, because there's times that they don't, when I try to get in there and pump them up or get them on a positive note, like it just doesn't hit. And I'm like, all right, you need someone to talk some realistic sense into you, and we'll lead you out of this, and so you're going over here. Like,
I'm sorry, I'm dying laughing because you're literally like, you need somebody that's going to tell you the way it is without any kind of buffer or any of that stuff. So you're going to go talk to Nevada?
yeah, but it's not even rude. You're just like, oh, so you're not going to do that? Okay, cool. And then it's like, did he really just call me out for not doing what I'm supposed to do instead of trying to make me do it? Like, yep, that's what you get because you didn't want to listen, so have fun.
You've literally seen people, you've seen kids with me that were doing soft toss or something, and they're just not trying, and I'm just like, and you're done. And they just look at me, and they're like, what? I'm like, if you're not going to try, I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
I'm like, go on. And then, oh, no, I'll try. I'm like, too late. You already did it. See ya. And it's just like, the look on their face is like sheer, like, nobody has ever done that before. And I'm like, and that's why I did it.
Yeah. And that's why when they get to that point, I'm like, go see Nevada. Yay!
Guess what? Now you've made all the nice coaches mad. Now you have to go deal with Nevada. Have fun with yourself. Jeez. Okay.
Make it sound like you're so mean all the time.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily mean. I'm just not very good with the excuses.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. It's always that thing of like, well, this bet did this or whatever. I'm like, no, the bet didn't do anything. You control that.
Yeah.
What did you do? So.
Yep.
All right. I can't think of anything else. You got anything else on this crazy topic?
No.
We've been talking for a while.
We have. Could talk all day. But I think it was good.
Yeah, this was a long one. So, thanks guys for tuning in. I don't know if we're going to get this serious on everything.
No. Probably not.
This is kind of crazy and very controversial. I don't want to act like anything we've done has been, like matter of fact. I mean, we're totally trying to figure it out as we go. If anybody has any great recommendations, love to hear.
Yeah.
Tell me how I need to, raise my kids when I have them.
Or tell me about being a parent in sports.
Yes, I would love the other
Why I need to
perspective.
change my mind and coach my daughter all the way through.
There you go. Yes. Well, you're the one that's going to care about her the most.
Yeah, I'm going to kill her. That's what's going to happen.
Well, that's
I love her, but she is just very strong-willed, and Mom is very stubborn, and then it's good 90% of the time until we butt heads, and so then, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're not going to get into that. We're going to call this done. Thank you guys very much. Have a good one.
Yep.
Thank you for watching. Kate and Nevada hope you've enjoyed this show and found it useful and empowering. If you have any questions or comments, please contact them at kinetics.com. That's KNETICX.com. They're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. And please write a review of the show. Kate and Nevada appreciate hearing the feedback, and they welcome your reviews, and your word of mouth will help others learn how to feel better and be better.